Hello, boys and girls. My name is Miss Smith. Again, I'm from Shannondale Elementary, and I kind of wanted to do a little overview of what we talked about last week as we talked about manifest destiny, how James K. Polk's envision or vision or dream for the United States was that we would own all the territory from the Atlantic Ocean all the way over to the Pacific Ocean. And last week I gave you 3 tasks to look at as we were kind of talking about the different things that helped us get all that land all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. So the first task that I asked you to look at was a map, and just looking at the different sections of territory that we gained, and then to create a timeline of how long did it take us to actually acquire that territory. This is kind of what my map looked like. I asked you to kind of take a different color and color each section. This is kind of the colors that I chose for mine. Then I asked you to create a timeline, starting with when we first declared our independence from Great Britain in 1776. We had the original 13 colonies, and your timeline should look like this. In 1783, after the 13 colonies, we had the French and Indian War, and with the Treaty of Paris in 1783, Britain says, yes, we'll give you this land because you've won the French and Indian War. So now we acquired all the land from east of the Mississippi River all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. And then in 1803, with President Jefferson, he helped us acquire the Louisiana Purchase for $15 million. And now we have all the territory from the Rocky Mountains all the way over to the Atlantic Ocean. It more than doubled the size of our United States. 1810 through 1813, we acquired the western part of Florida. And then in 1818, we acquired through Britain the British Cession, which gave us kind of the tip part of the Louisiana Purchase. And then in 1819, we acquired eastern Florida. 1842, the British succeeded, or actually gave us, or we came to terms with the tip part of Maine, which is on top of that original 13 colonies. And then 1845, Texas annexation, we acquired most of Texas and what we now know of as New Mexico, then a little bit further north than that. 1846, with Britain, we acquired the Oregon Territory through the 49th parallel south. And then in 1848, with the Mexican-American War, Mexico gave us for $15 million the part of Mexico that includes California. And then in 1853, we kind of rounded out things with all that territory, and the Gadsden Purchase was the lower part of Texas, New Mexico area. So you can see from 1776 all the way to 1853, it took us that amount of time to acquire what we now know as the United States, with the exception of Hawaii and Alaska, which will come a little bit later. The second task that I asked you to look at was some journal entries from different people who had gone on the Oregon Trail. And I asked you to think about some of the things that they thought were exciting or they liked about their journey out west, and some of the difficulties that they may have found. And this is just one group of people who traveled out west. Of course, there are lots of others. So the first person that I asked you to look at was in 1843 was John Fremont. And this is kind of what I had. You may have something else as you kind of think through what might be difficult or what might be exciting for them. And I just asked you to include one. For things that they excited them or they really liked, for John, he noticed that it was quiet where they were, and there was a river system. So a river system would give them good drinking water or cleaning water, fishing hole. They could do a lot of things with the river, and he liked the peace and quiet. Now, the difficulties that he might have seen, a lot of people were going in the same direction. He said he saw lots of different people, and so that might have given him some concern. You may not have thought that's a difficulty, and that's fine. So you may not have had anything there. Then you go to John Brough in 1849. Some of the things that he thought were exciting was there's trading going on. There was a lot of fishing. There were some meadows. There were some hills. So he felt like that, cattle could find what they needed. He could fish. He could probably find smaller animals that he could hunt. The trading, he could have thought that was a good thing, yes, but he was trading with Indians, and he could have thought that that might have been a difficulty. Now, you might not have seen that that was a difficulty for him, and that's fine too. That's just what it could have given him a little concern. It could have not given him a little concern. And then you have Polly Kahn in 1852. What she felt like was she liked I felt like that she thought that the river system again was good, because you can, clean, you can cook with water, you can have fishing, you can have, other smaller animals are going to come to that river system. So there might be some good hunting. But then she also might have thought that, hey, Indians might have been a difficulty, because there were some Indians around. And then you had Eunuch Conyers in 1852. Exciting things are things that he liked, again, the river system. And then there was good grazing. And so that was good for cattle or horses that he might have had, or oxen that he might have had. And then for Eunuch, I didn't think that maybe there was anything that was difficult for him, or so I didn't put anything down for them. And then for the next group of people, I had Abigail Scott in 1852. For Abigail, I thought the exciting things, or the things that she liked that she saw there, was the valley. They had good grass. There was lots of trees. She had streams. Again, with the trees, you could use them for building a house or whatever else. The good grazing could be for livestock, and the streams, of course, water for cleaning, or for cooking, or small animals, or fishing. But what she thought was a difficulty was the mosquitoes. Now, I know we've experienced mosquitoes, but evidently, based on her account, the mosquitoes were very, very bad. And there was also a stampede that happened, so that might cause her some concern. Was that going to be a ongoing thing? And with the mosquitoes, was it going to be too bad that they, maybe wouldn't want to settle there, or would want to move on and not be in that particular place? And you had J.T. Kearns in 1852. I felt like he had a lot of things that were exciting for him. There's lots of good fishing. There was timber in one spot that he was at. There were rich valleys. There's lots of streams and springs. So I think he felt like that was a pretty good place. But then he traveled a little bit further on, about 25 miles, I think he said, and there was a little timber. So just that traveling that 25 miles made a big difference in what he saw, or what might be a difficulty in that particular area. And then last, you had Maria Belshaw in 1853. She liked the river system that she saw. There was good feed, is the word she used, which meant that there was good grazing for cattle and horses and stuff like that. And then she didn't feel like there was anything difficult at that particular area. So some people experience some light difficulties. I don't know, in this particular group of people who are traveling, felt like that there was a lot of things that were difficult for them. They did see a lot of mountains, and they had to go over some of those mountains. Some of them might have felt like that those were some difficulties that they might have experienced. But you can kind of see from one group of people's perspective of what life was like as they were traveling out to the Oregon Territory, or through California, wherever they were going. And then next, I asked you to look at the gold rush. What was the gold rush like as they were going out? I asked you to kind of think about, as people were painting for gold, for you to create a narrative, a story about, hey, you're down to your last $50, and what are you going to do now? You've got to make a decision. Do you stay there? Do you head back? Do you stop someplace that maybe you saw, or thinking about some of these people that we looked at journal entries from, the things that they experienced seemed to be kind of nice. Would they just stop there and settle? Or if you played the Oregon Trail game and you experienced some of those things, what would your decision be? And I hope you had some conversations with your family around the table, or just sometime as you've been at home to think about what would you do. And I hope you read your story to your family as they were a part of hopefully making that decision about what you and your family might do during the California Gold Rush. Again, not many people got rich. Most of the merchants got rich, but some people chose to stay out there. Some people chose to either come back home or just stay where they were. Now, as we've experienced Manifest Destiny, there's one other task that I'm going to give you this week, and this is kind of analyzing a painting. I showed you this painting in one of the other slides from last week, But I want to kind of want you to dive a little bit deeper into this painting. An artist always has some thought in his or her mind as they're painting the message they want to get across. And usually there's a focal point in a painting, and this focal point you can see is this lady. That's kind of where your eyes are drawn to as you look at it. But the artist also includes other things in the background that are very important to the message that he or she is trying to get across to the person who is actually looking at the painting. And so this painting was painted in 1872 by John Gast. It's called American Progress, and it's about manifest destiny. So I've given you some very specific questions as you analyze this painting, and I want you to really think about and really look at this painting, not just what your eyes are drawn to, but looking at and analyzing the things that the artist has put and placed in the background and surrounding what your eyes are kind of drawn to. So hopefully this will be a good experience for you as you kind of look deeper at paintings that you come across. They have a meaning. Just like as my class, we've looked at political cartoons. There's meaning in everything that has been drawn. And for John Gass, there's the meaning in everything that he's put in this particular painting. So take some time this week, analyze this particular painting about America's progress, about manifest destiny, and gaining all that land that we have between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Hope you have a great week.